Okay, so I am back on again. I wasn't going to come on until next week, but I've decided to just come on and talk a little bit for this Wednesday. I am actually, today is the 23rd, I believe it is. And so I wasn't going to come on at all. And then I was kind of just prompted to, so I decided that, okay, let me come on. But I'm not here to talk about my program in Guyana or my project in Guyana. I am just gonna do a little session, um, knowledge based or motivational combined with knowledge based session. So I have been thinking about Guyana and where it's going in terms of our progress. And um, I would like to say that sometimes I feel like as though this country has so much more to offer and it hasn't quite tapped into the possibilities that it can actually offer and and offer to our youths and offer to those people who are who are progressive thinkers, so to speak. Many of our youths are chimed in, on social media. They see what other places are doing. They see what other youths are doing worldwide, and they too want, or they're hungry for that opportunity. I mean, who wouldn't be? But are we even there yet? Like, where are we in terms of youth progression and providing jobs and providing the type of training that these young people need in order to exist in this competitive workforce? So each semester I take the time to tell my students stuff such as have a goal plan, have a 5 year goal plan, have a vision board, get a mentor, do things that will put you in a position for progress later as you complete your college degree. And I'm wondering to myself if this same conversation can be had with, my oversee, of course, Guyanese youths that are within Guyana, because it just seems to me like, even though I would like to say those things to them, is that even a conversation that they'll understand? Like, are they on that level? Do they even get it? What it is to have a mentor? What it is to be able to have a vision and to have a vision board? And it's not to say that people don't dream no matter where they are. It's just to say, will they connect with that type of language? Because here, you have a kind of society that is set up so that, okay, you go to school, you go to high school, you finish up your high school. By the time you leave high school, you're actually working. All of my kids were working by the time they were 16. I was working by the time I was 16. And that progressed into more career advantage and advancement. And so hence, you see that there is a system that is set up for progress, educational system, a work system. So we, the professors, are the middle people between the classroom and what the workforce wants. So we get to prepare our students in order to enter the workforce. So hence what happens is that we get that opportunity to work with them and tell them what it is that they can do or hope to do outside of just the intellectual part of the class. So my thing is, though, is that we have a whole barrage of students, of course, in within Guyana, who are also on that trek towards educational success, and so they do have visions, they do have dreams, they do have all the things that are in place. But how realistic are those goals outside of governmental jobs when they're finished? Because you're looking at someone who has never been into working for the government. Like, I am not like the person who wants to work for the federal government. I'm not the person who wanted to work for the state or the city or anything like that. I know a whole bunch of people that do, but that wasn't my goal. My goal was always to enter into into a private institution and work there, whether it was public relations or whether it was, working with entertainment, as an entertainment publicist, or working, doing whatever it is that I do as a journalist and so on and so forth. But I had that opportunity to kind of like choose between what it is that I wanted, and that is such a it is just a great space to be in. It's a wonderful place to be because once you're done your school and you want to make sure that there are opportunities there, but how much are we provided in terms of opportunities over in places like Guyana, and well, we're talking about Guyana. How much opportunities are we actually providing for our youths outside of government, where we know they can go teach, we know they can go to work in agriculture, we know they can go to work at the airport or wherever it is. When it comes to these private institutions, which we have the plethora of those around us, all around us, opportunities which we have to vie for, but in reality, is it's still there. If I speak the language that I'm speaking, to my college students today, to the students who are either high school or so let's say they gain their high school equivalency, um, and they're not in going to one of the colleges or university in Guyana, then can they actually even connect with that language? I guarantee you that every single high school student that is dual enrollment in my classroom, when they come in, and dual enrollment basically means, for those of us who may not know, it is students who at 16 are taking high school classes along with college credits. And so by the time they're done with high school, they've actually earned their first degree, which is an associate's degree. So they actually, and those are those advanced students, and there are a whole bunch of them, thousands and millions of them all around. And these kids are extremely motivated by just educational accomplishments. So my thing is, how can I speak that same language? Like even when I decide that okay, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna start, these conferences that I plan to start, and these teachers conferences, as well as, in terms of corporate conferences and so on. Once I get my feet settled in Guyana, in the environment within Guyana, can they actually even gain that kind of or connect with that kind of language or lingo that I'm going to be speaking? Because if they are not even there yet, our young people aren't there yet, then how is it that they can connect to that? Because I plan to have a platform where I'm not only speaking and bringing people, those talents in to speak to those who are in advanced positions, but definitely it's got to start somewhere. You can't make changes. Effective changes cannot occur unless you enter in at a certain phase. And so we want to reach them very young. So those are that are on top or already educated, they're already learned. And so what happens, you find that it's much harder, and this research shows that it's much harder to bring effective changes to people who are already talented, who already know what it is, and so therefore they have their own mindsets. And it's very difficult. Even organizational changes is very hard. Have you ever tried to bring in a new system into your organization and see what happens? A lot of times there are a whole bunch of rebuttals, and there are a whole bunch of confusion, and people are not very welcoming towards new ideas and different type of concepts once they've settled in old ways of doing things. So it's absolutely imperative that we reach our young people before that age. And so let's get to something that I think that a lot of people will probably say, oh, well, why are you on that topic? I mean, I am one of those people that I'm very open minded. I am for whomever it is. My classroom looks like everyone in America or around the world. And so diversity in my classroom isn't an issue. Me being open minded and diversified in terms of my thinking is not something new. I've always been that way. But I also find that when it comes down to pushing Black talent, that we have to really tune into that, right? Because our young people are the ones who, a lot of times, they don't get that opportunity to really push towards their talent. So, what if they're talented in building something? Can we provide that space where they actually get the opportunity to learn? What about mechanical skills, electrical skills, or and so on, or anything to do with writing, or it could be anything whatsoever, filmmaking, videography. I don't know, whatever it is that our young people want to do. We need to push our young Black talents. They're absolutely brilliant little minds out there, big and little minds out there. And when I say little, I don't mean that I'm demeaning anyone. I just mean like, they could be young too, right? And so those people are the ones that we want to push their talents. We have to push towards fairness. We have to push towards, towards building these talents. And you can't just say, well, let's just include everybody. The fact is that there's these other set of people who don't care about including our black youths either. And they make it very clear that they don't care. So I think that when you're dealing with an environment which really subjects other people to some sort of, degradation and looking down, and then seeing them as, the fact that, they sit there and they act as if everybody else doesn't exist. You have to then look to see what it is that you can do to help build those talents. You're the one who's coming in with that opportunity to talk, to build, to open up doors, to do what it is that you have to. So please don't sit there and tell me we're all on the same level of playing field when we have people out here constantly, brown people, okay, who are sitting up there and they're not afraid to tell you what they feel about you. Okay, they're not. And so, even though you don't want to get political on certain level, you cannot speak towards progress, and yet unless you look at the kind of issues that are going on, and those issues are very real. And these people who sit there and make decisions, like I'm just saying this, that I feel as though when we elect certain government officials, we have to look to what it is that we're electing. So I'm looking at this just recently. For example, there's this whole flood in Guyana. We all know that there is lots of water and people's homes are underwater. Their God, their animals are dead, that they were mining, whether it's fowl, pigs, whatever it is. People's livestocks were underwater and they were just killed off, of course, drowned it off. Um, of course, we know that it's not mankind's doing that. There is water flooding, that there's flooding, and there's thunderstorms, and that there is tornadoes or anything like that in any parts of the world that we're looking at, right? However, we have a government that should be designed to help us. So the reality of this is that if something happens here in Florida, Biden will be here by next week. He's not going to come in right away, but so they're going to wait until a couple of days. But by next week, he would be here in Florida. And we know, and those of us who know, Florida is always under some hurricane. All right. So therefore, he comes in, he assesses what's happening, and then he makes the call. And once that call is made, and before he even comes in, there are lots of organizations that are going to be here. There's going to be Red Cross. There are going to be plenty of Christian organizations. There are going to be all sort of organizations who is going to be feeding folks that are distressed because they lost their homes, or their roofs are gone, or their home is underwater, or whatever it is that's happening. Because after hurricane, basically, if the roof goes, your entire home is ruined. We know that. So whatever is happening at the moment, Biden comes in. He makes a promise. If the state is totally underwater and needs whatever it is, then they put these broad effective measures that allows every single person to get food monies to buy food. The lights are given some sort of uh, you know I don't know. I mean, grant where they just allow you to not pay so much all at one time. They then allow you to, I mean, they just provide things for you. Help with your home. Of course, the insurance companies come in and cover your costs in terms of water damages, and if you have insurance, and even when you don't have insurance, the state will step in. I mean, this is what government is made for. You're not made to sit up there, collect money, give it to the 10% of people who are sitting up there with a whole bunch of monies, and you are over here watching at these people. And so the very people that voted for you are the people who are now screaming and hollering, oh my God, come see what happened to we. Come see what happened to us. And stop taking these opportunities to take a picture, right, with so just so basically it's just that moment where you want on camera to show that you showed up. You showed up, and then what? You showed up and said this, and then what are you going to do? Wait until the people's homes are dry, and then you're going to not go back or never fix that wall that you promised, so that when it happens again they'll be flooded again? Why is government there? And I'm all for individual people doing their part, but there is a government has the responsibility to do their part in any society. We as individuals cannot go out like I have a problem. We have a problem outside of the area that the city has been taking care of for the past 2 weeks or so, and they're on there every single couple of days to get this job done. I myself, as a citizen, can't just go out there and touch the city's property. The city has to come in. Once they're called in, they come in and get their job done. All I'm saying is that every government has a responsibility. And if you're sitting up there in government and you're not doing anything for your citizens, and they're over there and they're struggling and their livestock are dead and all this stuff, and they voted for you, so you promised them all this stuff and now you can't even show up. It's the one reason why I always tell people I can never vote red. And I don't vote red because it doesn't stand for anything that I support as a Black woman. I have to know that every single person of color is covered in terms of, they wouldn't be going through any racial issues or any kind of, subjected to different kind of bad treatment in any way. I need to know that. I need to know that every one of my college students have the opportunity to go to school and not, their money's not be pulled from under them in terms of what the government provides, because the Republicans come in and take whatever it is, because that's all they do. They come in and they cut programs. They don't give any incentive. They don't do anything like that. All they do is they feed all the wealthy, the top 10%. Why are you voting for a government that doesn't even look back at you when that time comes? Like, literally, it's stupid. I feel it's stupid. I am not voting for anyone. Listen, I had a couple of problems recently. You know what I did? I called my commissioner, and I called. There's another person that I called within the local municipality. Within 2 days, my problems were fixed for both times that I called. Actually, I called 3 times. My problems got fixed. That's what government is there for. We did not elect. I don't even know if I voted for any of these people, by the way. But my thing is that that's what effective government does. Whether they're local or whether they're national or state or federal. Right? So all I'm saying is you can't possibly think that everything is going to be okay when you elect someone if everything isn't going to be okay. For 20 something years in that country, these people sat there and didn't do a darn thing for the most part. I am sorry, but they didn't. They did for the top 10%. The bottom 90% are still there struggling. When you see police officers are doing the wrong things, well, if you're not paying them, what do you think they're going to do? They're going to take money under the table to feed their families. You pay them money, you pay them enough so that way they're not, they're not being pulled to the other side to doing wrongness. And I'm not agreeing that they should. I'm just telling you the reality of it is. So I'm just kind of in this phase where I'm thinking, okay, well, I would love to be able to take the same kind of gung ho approaches towards progress and effectiveness and just trying to motivate, these Guyanese, young Guyanese youths to do so many things. And I want to focus on Black youths because I feel like as though the other people are having a conversation and they have literally xed out our Black youths. So whenever the opportunities come, they give it to whomever looks like themselves rather than being fair and say, okay, let's look at the talents. Let's see who can best do the job. How many situations I've been hearing about the Black folks that are being pulled out of offices, pulled out of their being forced to resign, and so on and so forth. And that's because of the fact that we want to put people. Well, do these people have any talents? So you're putting people in place who you can control and who will get things done for you, and therefore they're now going in there and don't even know what the heck they're doing. I see a couple of ministers on my Facebook, and I'm always in discussion with these issues, by the way. So I'm passionate because of the fact that I know what the reality is. I'm always in these discussions. And so I see a couple of ministers and they're doing a couple of things or whatever it is that they're doing. But it's nothing impressive because I feel like as though you've had 20 something years to fix this nonsense and you're over here trying to do it now because the other party came in and made you look like you didn't do anything at all in 20 something years. And so even though some of you will sit up there and say, oh, well, they didn't do anything, listen, I'm sorry. I have watched and I've seen, and I am one of those people will tell you, and I don't care which party you belong to, I will tell you plain and straight that even when you went in, you didn't do anything. But that's not what I saw. I did see a lot of improvements, and I did see things that in terms of progress, and whether that was technology, infrastructure, whether that was just elevating sports, doing a lot of things. I just saw a difference. And I don't care what your government looks like, they're there for a purpose. How can you draw talent out of an environment where there's absolutely no motivation to go ahead and conquer this educational process that we all want all our youths to be well versed in? They're not going to be motivated. What are we planning? What are we planning for 5 years? What projection do we have that we can say 5 years? What goal plans would I have for 5 years? The government hasn't done anything. So the government responsibility is to definitely not only have the kind of jobs and create jobs for its citizens, but also to invite companies in order to, the private entities, so that way they too can begin to create more jobs for the locals and so on and so forth. And that's the way you build. Or you also have these relationships with international companies where that allows you to have certain type of agreements that will allow both your citizens and their citizens to benefit. Who are these people that are negotiating with these folks? And why are you kicking people out of offices that where they say you don't fix what's not broken, but you're actually taking things that are supposed to be effective, and now you're putting it to the level of ineffectiveness, and just so that you can create um, some sort of an environment where you create nepotism, so that way this whole idea of favoritism, idea of, okay, well, if I put you there, you'll help me and I help you. You put your cousin there, you put your auntie there, you put everybody there. I mean, we've seen it happen in one state in America. I think it was California, and I think it was, gosh, which city was that? Anyway, can't remember the city, but they all, they hired their uncles, their cousins, and everybody else, and the destruction came. The whole place imploded because they were hiring everybody and their families the fire department, the police department, the school, and then one lady even Compton, and one lady even turned who sat on the board and even said that, oh well, not everybody's going to succeed. This is a school board. Not everybody. Excuse me. I mean, as educators, so we go in and and so the plan is that, oh, some of y'all gonna fail anyway, so we might as well just help you to fail. So we don't create a plan for you to succeed. The curriculum sucks. Everything is bad, and so hence here we go. We have an entire generation of youths that are in drugs. We have an entire generation of youths that are doing deplorable acts. We have an entire generation of youths that are going to fail because we have not done what it is that we're supposed to. Government are put there for a purpose, not just to enjoy, not to build those big houses, big mansions, sell it to all your, sell land or give lands to all your cousins, your auntie, whoever it is, your uncle. And then by the time, we're all done, the only people that have gained is literally your family. Then you create an environment of disruptance, of racism, of ugliness, of separation, just so that you can win. Listen, the key reason or the key thing, key mechanism to help people win election is separation. I've seen where Jack Dio has separated that country. And trust me, I was a big Jack Dio fan because I wasn't looking at race. I was looking at him being young at the time when he first got elected. And I was looking at the fact that he can bring something else to the country. So this ain't got nothing to do with race. You couldn't tell me anything about Jack Dio because I wasn't warped by, whether it was APNU or PPP. It was just, okay, yes, we need some new talents in there to do something more with Guyana. So when I tell y'all I haven't stopped being Guyanese, I haven't. When I met Heights, when I met different people in political offices, I was going back to Guyana doing things. I was doing things with organizations. I was always involved. So when Jack Dio took over, I actually was one of his biggest supporters. I loved the fact that he was young. He represented me being a young college student just coming out of college. Loved it. Wanted progress. So it was like, okay, yes, he's going to bring, because by then, of course, America is well advanced in terms of, of course, it's been advanced, but it's, we're looking at technology and all this stuff, and I'm like, yes, he's going to invite all those things in, blah 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 blah. So I'm looking for progress. I want to when I go home. I shouldn't feel like I'm in another world. I should feel like like I'm just moving from one space to the next and enjoying both spaces. What eventually happened right in front of my eyes was that this man literally took that nation, turned it upside down with his greediness, his ability to, his inability to see diversity, and just took it and just turned it upside down in terms of, dividing it by race. And then the squabbles started, and then a whole bunch of them in Queens and in Jersey got on the bandwagon, and those in Trinidad, racist as ever, and they're over there and they're spilling their ugliness and all this kind of stuff. Well, of course, I'm always going to chime in, when I see these issues. And so when they come, like, listen, you are all of y'all in Queens or in Jersey or wherever it is, you're all brown people, right? And my thing is that, you're coming on American soil to call people out of their names, knowing fully well that the soil that you're now traveling on, the only reason why you are free enough to travel on it is because someone who looks like me have already been hung, has already, been fighting, has already done the job so that that brown person, can come here and live free. You haven't done the battle. Your folks haven't lost lives. And Caribbean folks haven't lost the type of lives that we were talking about, Jim Crow America. We're talking about all that kind of stuff in terms of racism in America. We're talking about Dr. King. We're talking about all this, social, injustices that Black people here and Black Americans face in this country. Well, let me just say something. If it had not been for them, people like you and me would not be able to come to this country and be able to be as free as we are, because they've already done the job of fighting so that we can be better, and they continue to fight. So please don't sit up there and act like you did something when all you did is come here and enjoy the benefits of it. So I'm just, at the place where I am tired of people not looking and seeing what's reality. I saw recently Little Guyana was named up in Queens. Applause, happy that that took place. We've got a little street called, or a boulevard that's called Little Guyana. Absolutely beautiful. Those people who work there, predominantly the brown community, not the Black community, but the brown community in Queens. They have done their part. They have worked hard. They have built homes or bought homes, paid their taxes, and do what it is that they do. And then they eventually was able to get that place name. But in order to get that done, there were faces that didn't look like you that helped you. I saw them. So what I'm saying is that instead of collaborating, what these folks, and I'm not saying every single person, don't get me wrong, because obviously it'll be, just tarnishing everyone's image, and that's not what you want to do. But definitely you want to speak up against these things. Like, how do you sit there and talk about people in that manner, and you haven't, fought the battle in order to get the things that this country get for Black and brown people? Like, you came in and enjoy it, and you enjoy it now. Those houses that you bought in Queens, those houses that you're able to live in peacefully, you didn't just get it because if listen, man, listen, if somebody didn't fight, if the African Americans had not done their part, none of us would be here and be free to do what we do. So even then, I say to all my island people who come here, and they say, oh, well, Black Americans this and Black Americans that. Well, excuse me, on whose backs have you traveled? These people have been through hell and back so that people that looks like me and you can accomplish the things that we do. So, there are going to be people who are ghettofied as hell. And then there are people who are very, very progressive and who do what they have to do. You just have to find, if you decide that you're going to look for those people who are just ghettofied and thinking below level, that's on you. I've been around way too many successful Blacks for me to have that mentality. I mean, I am around hundreds of thousands of people when I go to conferences over the years, hundreds of thousands of African American and Blacks from all over this country who do what they have to. I am friends with some of the most progressive people. I am colleagues with some of them. What are you talking about? Stop labeling people. Black people spend billions of dollars in this country every year. Billions, whether it's on beauty or it's on beauty, hair care, whatever it is, we're spending. So this thing that and you're not even we can't even put you in the statistics in terms of what it is that you spend in this country. So you sit up there and you talk about people, but you don't even you're not even a percentage. So please don't go there. Anyway, like I was saying, we need to encourage our Black talent. And we need to do it from an individual perspective, and we need to do it from an institutional one. Will we at some point have a government that doesn't see race and doesn't divide and just do for the people? And whether that's APNU or PPP, will we ever get there? Will we ever get to a government that really cares and really does bring in all the resources, no holds bar, and let it loose so that people can benefit off of it. Will this oil money be able to spread wide enough and strong enough and equal enough so that everyone has or everyone is able to gain something for their families and to build. I do know one of the things that Burnham did is that when he wanted to win is that he also give lands for to people even if they didn't want to vote for him. He would give lands to the Indians, and so those lands are still in their hands. They're still farming or cultivating those lands, or if not them, their I'm sorry, their children, right? That are if they've passed on by now, of course, right? So many. So I mean, hey, I am just in a place right now where I see equality as something that is necessary. But I also see where I want to elevate the Black talents in Guyana, our Black youths in particular, our younger people, or young adults as well. And I would love to be able to be part of that conversation to take them to a next level. I would love to be able to lead that the pack. They say to go where there is no trail and just leave a trail or blaze it. So I can see. So let me tell you something. So there's this one girl, and I'm always calling her out because she just really really annoys me. So she shows a lot of stuff on Guyana on her IG page. A lot of different parts to visit. So she does a great job at showing all the places to visit. However, when she shows the people of Guyana, she generally has on her page just one set of people. So last year or end of 2019, sometime, I kind of picked a bone with her. I said, "Hey, what are you doing? I mean, Guyana has 6 races. Why are you not featuring other groups?" So now she doesn't, so she doesn't feature any other group other than, and she is, I guess, a combination of both Black and Indian. I guess I would like to say that based on what she looks like. But she will feature only Indian people on her page. I mean, generally, that's what she features. Anytime she shows a person, it's usually an Indian person. And so my thing was like, listen, if people go to Guyana, they would swear that all they would have here is Indian music, eat Indian food, and their culture, that the dominant culture would be Indian. I said that is so not true. I said, like any other Caribbean country, what dominates Guyana is reggae music, is calypso music, is Afro food. What are you acting like? We're not saying you should be excluded. All I'm saying is that you need to be inclusive. So why are you over there showing this thing like we're like visitors are gonna walk in and all they're gonna see is Indian people and Indian music and hear Indian music and hear this and that. There's nothing wrong with Indian music. There's nothing wrong with Indian people. Don't get me wrong. But it's absolutely irresponsible for you to have a platform and you are covering an entire country, and every time, almost 95% of the time, when you feature people, which is pretty often, you see a certain group. So I called her out and then I left her page after I told her off the last time in about 2019, came back to the page. 2020, I think 2021 is when I went back finally because I was so upset. Same thing. So the other day I called her out again. I said, "Sis, what's going on with you?" So why are you always featuring people, one set of people? This is the representation is you're lying to people. If a white person from Europe goes on that page to say visit Guyana, they would swear when they land on in Guyana, they'll be in the middle of India. That is not true. Stop lying to the people. Represent what is there. Representation is absolutely important. So therefore, and so on. Why are you lying? And what is it that you're gaining? So here's the catch 22 the other day now. So I'm looking at her page, and she features a happy Father's Day to the co-owner of this group. So then I wrote back on her page. I said, "Oh shoot!" I said, "Now I see why." She never answers me because she knows that I'm all for debating. I guess by now. So I said, "Oh, now I see why." Oh, okay, got you. So I see, I understand where you're coming from now. So the co-owner is an Indian guy. So she's actually, so I was under the impression that she's doing it for the government. So it's an individual entity, or I'm sorry, it's a private entity created by probably her and maybe this guy, or she's just a reporter on it, who travels around. Or and if you want to, by the way, it's Visit Guyana. So I'm not hiding anything. It's Visit Guyana, and so literally, and she's on IG. So literally, when you see her features. So a couple of times that when I pointed it out to her, I saw that she featured. Oh, the only other person she'll feature is what's his name, the backyard cafe guy. Forgot his name, but she'll feature him. Okay, and that's it. And then the one time I saw that she had this corn soup in her hands, right on the seawalls. What's interesting about that is that that soup is from a black Rastafarian guy. Because when I was down there last time, he was on the seawall selling it, and my brother-in-law bought some for everyone. So that I didn't eat any because I don't like to eat certain things on the streets. But they all said it was really, really good, right? And so I recognized the soup, and I said, "Oh, but why didn't she feature him? Because it would be nice if people know who he is." She doesn't feature him; she just features the soup. And in her hands, I'm like, this girl is something else. She wicked. She's just so bold about her racial just like disparities. Like she's just nasty about it, and she's not afraid to show it. So that's what I'm saying. Other people don't care. So when it comes down to speaking up towards our youths and making sure that we individualize them towards and we say, okay, we want to see progress, we should. And I know I'm going to get some comments in here as long as people listen this out. That's fine because I'm all for engaging, and having a conversation. I don't run from conversations at all. So empowering our Black youths is what in Guyana is what I'm all about, because obviously everybody else is about their own. So I intend to be about my own as well. Once I'm settled in, once I'm there, and once I begin to do my programs, it will be featured around. And believe me, I've got lots of stuff as long as God spares my life, as long as I'm healthy, as long as I'm able to, because I have the connections that I do, I am going to be able to work towards the kind of programs that will help to elevate these youths and provide those opportunities for them, and also for young adults as well, and even motivational classes and so on for those people that are already in positions and they're already established, so to speak, but things that can help them to grow, kind of sessions that will help them to grow. So that's where I am coming from, like it or not. That's my message, and I am not, and I totally support it. Not changing, not changing my mind. So you can get on here, you can say what it is that you want to say, but the realities of it is that these things are real, and racial disparity is very real, and the fact that inequality exists, and that these people tend to want to just support their own. That's very much so. But you can't run a government just supporting one group of people. Remember, you have an entire nation of people that you have to provide for. Provide equal opportunities for. You start providing only for one set of people, and eventually you'll have a nation that is going to go belly up. When people feel oppressed, when they feel depressed, when they feel suppressed, eventually they will rise up. And you don't want to get to that place where you have to bring in soldiers and police officers to stop the distress that is going to happen eventually if you don't reach out to everyone in all communities and start building each and every one of our communities. Um, Thank you so much. Thank you for listening to me, and thank you for your endless support. I appreciate you. I am gonna go now. I need some food, and I am hungry. It's 3:35. I haven't eaten any lunch, nor breakfast for that matter. I had lecture today, and I just kind of came right into to talking after I just did some other stuff. So, alrighty. So, talk to you guys next week, and hopefully, I have some progress by next week, or so I can share with you on my program. All right. Okay. Cool. Bye bye.